welcome to another episode of the Chaos Chronicles.
Navigating the randomness.
I'm Jess.
I'm Connie.
And today we are diving back into Twilight. We're going to be covering chapters 18 and 19.
Yes, before we get too deep into things, just a reminder, you can find us on TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram. The handle for all four is at Chaos Chronicles Podcast. That's Chronicles with an S. We would very much appreciate a like, subscribe, and follow.
Yes. All right. Would you like to quickly summarize chapter 17 for us?
Yes. So, previous chapter, we finally got to the infamous baseball game where Bella has come out to watch the Cullens play. And as they're playing, they attract the attention of the visitors. 3 unknown vampires that are not vegetarians like the Cullens. And now they have heard the game and they're on their way. There's not enough time to get Bella out before they arrive. So now Edward has put Esme in the field. He's standing by Bella, tells her to put her hair down and just like cover her face as much as she can and stand behind him. But how much good is that going to do when Alice could smell her across the field anyway? So
yeah, not much.
Now we come back in to we're waiting for the visitors to step out into the clearing.
Yes. So chapter 18 is called The Hunt. One by one, they emerge from the forest. 2 males and a female. The 3 close the distance between themselves before coming closer toward Edward's family. As they approached, Bella noticed that they are very different from the Cullens. This group's gait is almost cat-like. They seem to be constantly on edge of shifting into a crouch. They dressed normal. Both men had cropped hair, and the woman's was a brilliant orange that was full of leaves from the woods. Their gaze fell on Carlisle, and Emmett and Jasper were on his sides. The three of them stepped forward guardedly to meet them. Their eyes were different, not golden or black, but a deep burgundy that was disturbing and sinister. The leader of the new group had a French accent, and they said that they thought they heard the game. He is Laurent, and the others are Victoria and James. Carlisle introduces his family and points out each as he says their names, and Bella was shocked when he called Bella's name. Laurent asks if they had room for a few more players.
Real quick. I think it's Laurent. French.
Laurent.
Yeah.
Laurent. Apologies. Laurent.
Sorry. I could be wrong. That's how I remember it from the movie, but I totally read it Laurent in my head.
We will go with it, Laurent. I'll go between both of them, let's be honest.
We all know who it is.
Yep. Sorry. We have made this well known. We speak English and only English. Anytime we go outside English, it's not good.
Yeah, and actually, correction on that one. When we've had some old English, like in the 4th of July episode,
Bad. If it's
American.
Not,
we're good with
yeah.
American. Not to stereotype here, but
yeah, we struggle.
We try.
Laurent. Okay, so Laurent asks if they have room for a few more players. Carlisle matches Laurent's friendly tone and says that they were just finishing up, but they'd be happy to play another time with them. He then asks if they're planning on being in the area long. Laurent tells them that they are headed north, but we're curious to see who's in the neighborhood. They haven't run into company for a long while. Carlisle informs them that this region is usually empty, except for them and occasional visitors. The tense atmosphere slowly subsided into a casual conversation, and Bella guessed that Jasper was behind it. Laurent asks what their hunting range is. Carlisle ignores the assumption and says that the Olympic range here and up and down the coast ranges on occasion. They keep a permanent residence nearby, and there's another like them that is near Denali. Laurent was curious, how do they manage a permanent settlement? Carlisle invites them back to their house so they can talk more comfortably and for Bella to get away. James and Victoria gave each other surprised looks, and Laurent hid his expression better. Laurent says that it is very interesting and welcome. They've been on the hunt from Ontario and haven't had an opportunity to clean up for a while. Carlisle asks respectfully that they refrain from hunting in this immediate area since they have to stay inconspicuous. Laurent nodded. They won't encroach on their territory, and besides, they just ate outside of Seattle. His laugh sent shivers up Bella's spine. Carlisle tells them that they'll show them the way if they want to run with them, then instructs Emmett and Alice to go with Edward and Bella in the Jeep.
Real quick, do you know who their last hunt was?
No?
Waylon, Charlie's friend. The one who died. That night when Edward and Bella went to the police station on their way back from...
They went to the police station?
Mm-hmm.
No.
It was after one of their first initial rides together where...
Bella hasn't gone to the police station at all in the book.
No, I swear we talked about this. I know it's in the movie, but I swear it's in the book as well, where it's in the very, very beginning where she still doesn't know what Edward is, but they're driving and they see Chief Swan's car and Dr. Carlisle's car at the police station. Where is the book? I can't be making this shit up.
I have zero memory of this.
Where is the table of contents? Okay. Well, that's not helpful.
Nope. I was going to say good luck. Shall I consult ChatGPT?
ChatGPT may be our friend on this one.
Uh-oh, Connie.
Is it only in the motherfucking movie?
Per ChatGPT, in the Twilight book by Stephanie Meyer, Charlie's friend Waylon Forge does not die. The character of Waylon Forge is a creation specific to the movie adaptation of Twilight. In the movie, Waylon is killed by James, one of the nomadic vampires. This event does not occur in the book where Waylon Forge is not present.
Well, son of a biscuit and a half.
Sorry.
No.
I was like, I'm not... With how specific these notes have been, there is no way, or how detailed these notes have been, there is no way I missed something like that.
I wonder if I'm because I swear I remember reading it. I'm wondering if it made its way into Midnight Sun.
Oh. Do you want me to ask it if it's in Midnight Sun?
Yeah.
Bring ChatGPT back up?
I mean, otherwise, maybe it is just in the movie. I do like how they did it in the movie because it adds an extra layer of shittedness. Because you actually see Waylon. Maybe it is just, well, in the movie. Okay, so this is something the movie did right, in my opinion, where in the...
Add an additional layer
where you see Laurent, James, and Victoria, how they hunt, which is very
different.
Thriller, psychological, kind of torturing Waylon a little bit, because you meet Waylon real quick when Bella and Charlie have their first meal at the diner. And he's like, oh, I was the Santa, every year at the, police chief or town, whatever. And so you get like this humanizing part to him. And then a couple scenes later, he's on his boat and he's preparing to, cast off. It's alluded that he's a fishing buddy with Charlie. And then all of a sudden, he goes to pull away in the boat because he has the feeling he's being watched. And Victoria grabs the boat and pulls him back. He's like, oh, you're pretty. And she goes, thanks. And then James appears and he starts taunting Waylon, and then Laurent appears and goes, James, don't play with your food. And then they kill him and it's screaming and it's ugly. And then Bella and Edward are on the way back from, it must have been the night that those guys tried to attack Bella, because they see, Carlisle and Swan's car and they're like, this is weird. And so when they show up, Bella still doesn't know exactly everything about Edward. But Carlisle comes out and he goes, it was a bear attack. And Bella's like, this doesn't seem like a bear. And Carlisle's like, why don't you go see your dad? He's really hurting.
Well, none of that happened in the book.
Oh, no. Oh my God. I can't believe I thought it was in the book. This is a point of pride for those who like are big on the books over movies. And
Yes,
if you
it
flip them
is.
through,
Yeah.
I just faux pas there. Well,
It's okay.
it's okay. The movie did something good.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to prove you wrong.
It's okay. It's okay. I am humbled.
All right. Well,
Red flag on myself.
God,
Penalty flag.
I'll take penalty flag, but don't say that you're a red flag, Connie.
In comparison to Eddie Boy, I am the greenest of green, and I ain't perfect. More of a beige flag.
I like beige.
Beige is good.
Beige is good.
We're beige.
So Carlisle tells them that they'll show them the way if they want to run with them, and then instructs Emmett and Alice to go with Edward and Bella in the Jeep. 3 things simultaneously happened while Carlisle was talking. 1, Bella's hair ruffled with the breeze. 2, Edward stiffened. 3, the second male, James, whipped his head around with his nostrils flaring. Yeah. They all seemed to become rigid, and James lurched into a crouch. Edward bared his teeth, crouching in defense, and a feral snarl coming from his throat. Laurent, Laurent, in surprise, exclaimed, "What's this?" Neither James nor Edward reacted. They reacted.
They
didn't relax.
Haunches are up.
Yeah. Carlisle firmly says towards James that she is with them. Laurent didn't catch her scent, but is now aware of what is happening. He asks if they brought a snack, and he involuntarily steps forward. Edward snarled more ferociously, harshly, and his lips curling to show his bare teeth. Laurent takes a step back again. Stephanie, there you go, contradicting yourself. I reread this so many times, and it's on page 308. I promise I'll have you look.
I believe you. So he stepped forward involuntarily.
And then says that he took another step.
Pressure point, honey. Pressure point.
Oh, Ruby.
Thank you. Sorry, her nail just like went right into the muscle.
No, you're good.
Oh, you're pushing a little hard, sweetie. It was a little rough. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so you brought a snack, he asks, his expression incredulous as he took an involuntary step forward. Edward snarled even more ferociously, harshly, his lip curling high above his glistening bared teeth. Laurent steps back again.
Also, it's raining while it's completely sunny. Like,
huh. Oh, it's actually raining.
Like raining.
Cloudless rain.
Sun shower.
Wow. Those are rare.
Yeah, and it's like hot.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. I was just hearing all of the pitter patter, and I'm like,
yeah,
is someone running a hose on my house?
Huh.
Well, how about that? Oh, that's screwing up the lighting. Oh. Sorry, y'all.
Our bad.
Also, don't look at my armpits, internet. You gotta pay for that.
Yeah, so Stephanie, he steps forward, but then takes another step back. It
not how another works.
No. I don't know if she meant to say another forward step or something, but
instead involuntarily took a step forward. Edward snarls. He takes a step back.
Yeah, but not another step back.
Unless she was trying to say he steps back and then takes another step back. Like he moved 2 steps back from where he was before.
Okay, but it's very, very poor choice of words. I just...
Incredibly. Yeah.
I read it and then reread it. I'm like, no, I have to be reading this wrong because I have dyslexia. So, like, I'm rereading it. I'm like, no, this is right. That's not okay.
Nope. Yeah, no, there's a few things that was missed in editing.
Yeah, that was one of them. So Carlisle again, in a stern voice, says that she's with them. Laurent protests that she is human. Emmett responds yes and is still at Carlisle's side, and his eyes are on James. James is slowly coming out of the crouched position, but his eyes never left her. Edward stayed like a lion in front of her. In a soothing tone, making effort to diffuse the hostility, says it seems that they have a lot to learn about each other.
Carlisle says that.
Laurent said that.
Laurent says that.
Yep.
Seems we have a lot to learn about each other. Got it.
Carlisle agrees. Laurent continues, saying that they'd like to accept their invitation, and of course they will not harm the girl and will not hunt in their range. James glanced over in both disbelief and aggravation. Carlisle was contemplating and then said that they will show the way. Then called Jasper, Rosalie, and Esme. They all gathered together and blocked Bella from view. Alice was instantly at Bella's side, and Emmett fell back slowly while keeping his eyes locked on James. Edward, in a low, bleak voice, tells Bella, "Let's go." Bella was rooted to her spot, and Edward had to grip her elbow and pull sharply to break her trance. Alice and Emmett were close behind them, still hiding her. Bella was stunned with fear, and she stumbled alongside Edward. Bella could sense Edward's impatience for just moving at human speed to the forest's edge. Once they were in the trees, Edward slung her over his back. Bella braced herself, put her head down, but her eyes were glued open with fright and wouldn't close. They reached the Jeep, and Edward flung her into the back seat and instructed Emmett to strap her in. Alice was already in the passenger seat, and Edward was starting the engine. Edward was growling something very fast. Too fast for Bella to understand, but it sounded like a string of profanities. The jolting of this trip was much worse, and the darkness only made things worse. Both Alice and Emmett were glaring out the sides of the windows. They finally hit the main road and headed south, going away from Forks. No one answered Bella when she asked where they were going. Finally, Bella bursts out, "Damn it, Edward, where are you taking me?" Edward didn't look back. The speedometer is at 105 miles per hour, and he says that they have to get her away, far away from here now. You good?
I'm just like, nice. You got a Jeep at 105. Good for you.
This is a beefed up Jeep, Connie.
It's a beefed up Jeep. But I'm just imagining Jeeps when you get over like 90, like just shake, 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 shake.
You're thinking of the old rusty 90 Wranglers.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Don't speed.
Bella shouts at him to turn around. He has to take her home. Bella starts to tear at the straps. Edward says Emmett's name, and Emmett secured her hands in his. Bella yells at him again, saying that he can't do this. She won't be quiet. He has to take her back. Charlie will call the FBI. They'll be on his family. They will have to leave forever. Edward responds in a cold voice, saying, "Calm down. They've been there before." Bella continues to yell. He isn't ruining everything over her. Alice spoke for the first time, telling Edward to pull over. He flashes her a harsh look and speeds up. She continues, "Let's just talk things through." Edward raises his voice, saying she doesn't understand. He's a tracker. Then asks if she saw that. He's a tracker. Emmett stiffened at this, but Bella didn't understand. In a reasonable but authoritative tone, Alice tells Edward to pull over. The speedometer starts to go beyond 120, and Alice tells him to do it. Pull over. Edward says he saw his mind. Tracking is his passion and obsession, and wants her, specifically her, and he is beginning the hunt tonight. Alice begins that he doesn't know where, but Edward interrupts, saying how long will it take him to cross her scent in town? His plan was already set before the words were out of Laurent's mouth. And this, I didn't know that they were talking about James until this moment. Because they did not mention which of the two males they were talking about. And this was the first hint that was like, it's James. Because, I put in my notes here, I thought they were talking about Laurent.
No, Laurent, chill.
Yeah, no, very chill, wants nothing to do with this, basically, which we'll get to momentarily. Bella gasps. Bella's scent would lead him straight to Charlie. She can't leave him. Edward can't leave him there. Bella starts to thrash against her harness. Alice tells him that she's right. The car slowed and then screeched to a stop on the shoulder of the highway. Bella flew against her harness and slammed back to the seat.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Sorry. She is real lucky. At no point did she get anxious and start like going at her nails or accidentally like bleed at all, or like in the thrashing back and forth.
Emmett's still holding her hands.
I'm thinking even before this.
Oh, before that?
Because like I would totally be like, but she's lucky. And also, ow, I'm imagining that.
Ouch.
Like, just I can feel my collarbones hurting for her with the straps.
I know. Yeah, she's got the full like racing straps on, basically. That's what I'm picturing at least.
Yeah, that's what I am too. Which for an off-roading souped up Jeep, yeah, you're gonna have all the straps.
Yeah. So Edward hisses that there are no options. Bella yelled that she isn't leaving Charlie. Edward ignores. She and Emmett finally say that they have to take her back.
Alice and Emmett say you have to take her back?
Yeah.
Got it.
Edward disagrees. Emmett continues that he is no match for them. He won't be able to touch them. Edward tells him that he will wait. Emmett smiles. He can wait too.
Okay, so Emmett's saying James is no match for us. Edward says James will wait. Emmett says, I'm good waiting for James.
Yep.
Just keeping track of our he's and hims, our pronouns.
Thanks. Yeah, this is so much. Literally, there is nothing but dialogue back and forth. And so trying to get all these details between like he said, she said, blah, blah, blah. So thank you.
I got you. I will track on that one. I got it.
It's a lot. But I love Emmett. Just the smile. I can wait to.
You're going to love. I can't wait to tell you. I'm hoping it's this chapter where I get to tell you the thing I wanted to tell you about Emmett this whole time.
We'll see. We're getting there. Well, one way or another, we're getting there. Edward continues. They didn't see. They don't understand. Once he commits to a hunt, he is unshakable, and they will have to kill him. Emmett wasn't upset, only said that's an option. Edward continues that the female is also with him, and if it turns into a fight, the leader will back them too. Emmett says that there's enough of them. Alice quietly tells them that there's another option. Edward's voice is now a snarl, saying there is no other option. Emmett and Bella stared in shock, but Alice wasn't. Edward was in a stare down for a long minute with Alice, and Bella breaks the silence, asking if anyone wants to hear her plan. Alice glares at Edward as he says no, but Bella continues to talk anyways. They can take her back, and she can tell her dad that she wants to go back to Phoenix. She packs her bag and waits until the tracker is watching and they run. He will follow and leave Charlie alone. Charlie won't call the FBI on the family, and, quote, then you can take me any damn place you want. They stared stunned. It's not a bad idea, really. Emmett's surprise was definitely an insult.
I mean, to
End
his
quote.
credit, if I was in that boat and I'm in his position, I'm a vampire, and here comes, a human and knowingly walking in with vampires, I would be a little shocked if they came up with a good plan too, because at that point I'd be like, honey, I'm sure you're nice, but your judgment is flawed.
Also, she's 17 and they're a lot older.
Yeah, there's that. She's got a couple strikes against her.
Yeah. Alice agrees it might work, and they can't leave Charlie unprotected. Edward still says it's too dangerous. With confidence, Emmett says he's not getting through them. Alice is in thought for a minute and says she doesn't see him attacking. He will try to wait for them to leave Bella alone, and it won't take long for him to realize that that won't happen. In a firm tone, Bella says, quote, "I demand you to take me home," end quote. Edward squeezes his eyes shut and after a minute says, quote, "You're leaving tonight, whether the tracker sees or not. You tell Charlie that you can't stand another minute in Forks. Tell him whatever story works. Pack the first things your hand touch and then get in your truck. I don't care what he says to you. You have 15 minutes. Do you hear me? 15 minutes from the time you cross the doorstep."
I know he's protecting her, and I know it's a mission, but he's being a real jerk.
I understand.
I understand it, and it doesn't mean I like it.
The way you talk to people, especially when you're angry, says a lot.
Yeah, this is, I don't know, this isn't anger as much as fear.
Well, fear, anger, raised voices, just all the above.
Yeah. How you talk when you're angry or panicked
Yes,
matters.
It does.
So in my brain, obviously to less of a scale than yours, but you and I have both been in situations together where people's lives to varying degrees have been in questionable statuses.
Mhm.
And how we communicated in those times was very different. And it was more straightforward. Granted, there wasn't the emotional and the responsibility level that Edward's having, but...
No, but even in, and I can say with emotional circumstances, in high intense situations, even me talking to literally anybody, the worst I will do is, being a female, you kind of have to assert yourself in EMS. So I would make my voice louder and be stern in what I'm saying. Saying, we are doing this. We are moving them here. This is what we're doing.
Yes.
So I would just get very stern about this is what we're doing. And
very
blah, blah,
matter
blah.
of fact.
Yeah. Where there is no matter of interpretation. Like, I am telling you this and this is what it is. This is different, though. This is kind of, is undermining the right word? Just like telling Bella, do you understand? This is how it's going to go and this is how it's going to be. Do you understand? It's
condescending almost.
Thank you. Yes.
It's very controlling.
It's not that sternness. It almost feels kind of manipulative.
It almost feels parental, honestly.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have that assertive tone and saying, like, you're going to listen to me and only me, but it's...
I know. And for those who don't know, in other episodes, Jess has talked about it. She was a paramedic. Mm-hmm. Different than an EMT, not just an ambulance driver, legitimate paramedic, okay?
Thank you.
I will fight people for you on that one.
I've given up telling people the difference.
Yeah, that's why you have the friend who fights.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's something just, he is not at all consulting Bella, which I understand that Bella doesn't have the know-all that he has.
I do want to add, in those high intense, high emotional calls, when I became more stern and, emphasized my voice a little more, if my partner ever said anything, my partner, a cop, firefighter, whoever that's helping out in that scene says something, I stop and listen to them, because there is a good chance that I am tunnel visioning on something and I am missing something. I think that's the big difference that's bothering me here.
Yeah, he's not listening to Alice. He's not listening to Emmett. Yeah,
definitely not listening to Bella.
Definitely not to Bella. And I think, again, my frustration is that it involves her, where it's like one thing if you're in like a military situation where the situation sucks for everybody and you've got one person in command who's got that knowledge and like they're like, no, we're doing this because I have the expertise and we're going to do it. Like, I get that. This is different. This is, again, not... It is intimately about Bella. She is the target. And
so it should be her decision.
It should be she should
Mostly
be
her
involved
decision.
more.
Yeah.
Yep, she shouldn't be just thrown around like an object. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of what it's feeling, a little object-like.
You're here,
Objectifying.
but we're going to dismiss everything you say, and everyone's just going to follow me.
Yeah, and it could just be like both of us. I know we're both this way, where if a situation is about us, do not tell us that this is how it's going to go and completely disregard everything we're saying. Not
We'll
a good
come
idea.
for you.
Not a great idea. So I'm definitely projecting some of that onto this.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah.
All
Oh
right.
no, the side note of stuff there. Anyway.
Yeah, so he's giving her 15 minutes. He starts the Jeep back up again, and they were off. Quote, Emmett, I asked, looking pointedly at my hands. Oh, sorry. He lets me loose. He was still holding her hands through the whole thing.
Yep. Which I think is actually kind of sweet.
I do too.
I mean, granted, it also bugged me if I'm being forcibly restrained in any way. That is when my fight or flight kicks in.
I know. I thought that was. I read that on and just chuckled. I'm like, oh, he was so concerned about her. He was just, oh. So they drive in silence for a little bit, and Edward then breaks it, telling them their game plan. He instructs Emmett to take the outside of the house and Alice to get the truck. Edward will be inside for as long as Bella is, and once she's out, Alice and Emmett will take the Jeep home and tell Carlisle the plan. Emmett objects, saying that he will be with them. They bicker for a while, and Emmett says until they know how far this is going, he's going with them. Alice says that they will make it there before the tracker. What's the plan with the Jeep? Edward harshly tells Alice that she will be taking it home. She says no in a calm voice, but Bella whispers that they can't all fit in her truck. Then, even quieter, says she thinks that she should go alone. Edward clenches his teeth and pleads for her to do things his way for once. Bella protests. Charlie isn't stupid. If Edward isn't in town tomorrow, he will notice and will get suspicious. Edward tells her that is irrelevant. They'll make sure he's safe, and that's all that matters. Bella asks about the tracker. He saw how they acted tonight and will think that he is with her wherever she is. Emmett gave another insultingly surprised expression again and said he thinks that that's right, and Alice agrees. Edward says that he can't do that. Bella continues, saying that Emmett should stay too. Quote, he definitely got an eye full of Emmett, end quote. Emmett turned confused, but Alice agreed, saying he'll get a better crack at him if he stays. Edward was in disbelief. Did they want him to let her go alone? No, Alice tells him that she and Jasper will take her. Edward says no again, but sounds defeated. Bella says, let's just hang out here for a week or a few days. Let Charlie see he didn't kidnap her and lead James on a wild goose chase. Make sure he's completely off her trail, then come meet her through a roundabout route, and then Jasper and Alice can go home. Edward seemed to maybe start giving in and asks where he would meet her. Phoenix. Edward objects, saying he'll hear where she is going. Bella tells him to make it look like that's a ruse. He'll know that they know he's listening, so he won't believe that she is actually going where she says she is, and she won't go home. She can get her own place. That was a lot of
that she's saying psychological. Okay, making sure I'm keeping it clear.
Yeah.
So Bella says, Edward, meet me in Phoenix. Edward says, no, because that's where you're going to tell Charlie that you're heading, and James is going to hear it, so he's going to go there. And Bella goes, yeah, except we're going to make it seem like it's a ruse, like we know that James is listening, so James is going to do the whole, I know that he knows, that you know that they know, that we know, that she knows, that the cousin knows, that type of deal, so then he won't go to Phoenix thinking it's too obvious.
Yeah.
Got it.
That was so much. They know, we know, he knows. Blah.
What was that originally from? Is that an Office bit?
I know, you know, he knows.
That we know.
That we know, that you know. Oh my gosh, I've seen, where did it?
Wait. Is that a Harry Potter thing? It might be a Harry Potter thing.
I told Seamus to tell Dean, to tell Pavarti, to tell you that Hayward was looking for you. Gosh damn it. But I feel like there's another one.
I think there is another one.
Friends.
Yes, there
with
it
the whole
is.
Chandler and Monica thing. Haha.
Yes.
So we got to, oh no. Paige, come back. Where did I leave off?
I was like, what happened?
No, I hit my laptop and then the page went down and now I'm like, oh no, where am I?
Ooh. Control F, what you last remember?
No, you don't control F these 60-some pages, Connie. That's been all of the Twilight notes. Okay, there we go. Okay. Emmett chuckles, saying Bella is diabolical.
This is the Bella that we wanted to see and the Bella we didn't get to see in the movies.
I know. The more I'm learning, the more I don't know if I want to watch Twilight, guys. I'm sorry.
It'll be nice so that you can have some scenes, like backgrounds and places where, knowing this now, like I can see Bella's room and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of a... We'll see.
We'll see. We're almost to the end of the book, but not quite. We'll see. Alice chimes in that they will be with her and they'll stay indoors. Emmett chimes in, I kind of like it. No doubt thinking about cornering James.
He was. He totally was.
Edward tells him to shut up. Emmett tells Edward, though, if they try to take him down with her around, there's a higher chance that Bella will get hurt, or Edward will by protecting her. But if they get him alone, he starts trailing off and slowly starts to smile.
We really like Emmett.
I was reading this, I'm like, I think Emmett might be my favorite right now.
He definitely is. I'm hoping we get to the spot where I can tell you the thing.
All right. Well, we're almost to the end of this chapter, and I think the thing is next chapter. What you're thinking
the thing
of?
is next chapter.
I think the thing. Well, yeah, we're doing both chapters, Connie.
Oh, that's right. Thank God.
Be happy. Be happy. The Jeep entered the town, and despite her brave talk, Bella could feel the hairs on her arms standing up. She started to think about Charlie alone in the house, and tried to be courageous. Edward softly says if she lets anything happen to herself, he will hold her personally responsible. He turns to Alice and asks if Jasper can handle this. Alice tells him to give him some credit. He's been doing very, very well, all things considered. Edward asks if she can handle this. Alice responded with a horrific grimace and let out a snarl that made Bella cower in terror.
That's so funny to me, sorry. Because Alice is just the sweet bubbly, so I'm like, that would throw me too.
Yeah. Quote, Edward smiled at her, but keep your opinions to yourself, he muttered suddenly. And that's the end of chapter 18.
Yay! Okay. So, I can't say all of it, but I have to tell you about the things. So, okay, now I get to nerd out. It's just Mama. It's just Mama having a moment, honey. It's okay. Okay, so when they're in the clearing, because my mind, when I first read this, I was like, they're going to hear her heartbeat. Like, because,
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So I didn't get answers to this one until Midnight Sun. So Edward, when he moves himself closer to her, he starts rhythmically tapping to try to mask her heartbeat.
Huh. That thought didn't even cross my mind.
He also, if I recall correctly, which now my recollections are questionable because I thought Waylon was in the books, but Waylon was not in the books. But he also, I believe, started making louder breaths to try to cover hers.
Interesting.
So, like, he was definitely doing. So, that part one. Part two is when they formatted themselves. I don't know if that's the word I wanted. Formed when they lined up. So, with Jasper and Emmett with Carlisle, and then the girls further back, and Edward with Bella. So, Edward, during that point, he's scanning minds because, obviously. And he finds himself, because he like kind of looks over to Esme, who's right by Bella, and he finds himself bored. He's like, why am I? Oh, because Jasper is making it so that Jasper, Emmett, and Carlisle seem very interesting and you want to focus on them. And you're bored if you look at Alice or Esme or Rosalie or Bella or Edward.
Interesting.
And James also has a weird look when Jasper lets down that glamour, I think we'll call it. Yeah. James has a moment where he sees Alice and he's confused. Like something flashes through his brain. I don't think Edward catches it. But it's kind of a weird moment of like, you're going to hear more later. But it's just so interesting to me how Edward's doing all these other things that Bella's not even aware of, like trying to do everything to just pattern.
Yeah.
He's even like changing his pattern when her heartbeat changes.
Yeah.
Like he's doing all these things. Jasper's doing all these things. And like Emmett's even trying to like be bigger and more imposing and distracting. So it's just this moment where you get to learn like, oh, they're actually like legit protecting her.
Yeah.
Even Rosalie, who's not happy about it, is like, oh, fuck me. I guess we're here and we fighting, I guess. Like she's ready.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting. I'll have to give you my Kindle login so you can read that. It's actually very interesting. I like it more than the Twilight book.
Interesting.
Yes, but now we're getting to the fun stuff.
So now is chapter 19, Goodbyes. Which I was texting her about this as I was reading. I was like, what happened? That's not what I expected.
Oh, just wait.
I'm sure. So they got close to the house and Bella could see that all the lights were still on. This means that Charlie was still up and waiting for her. Of course, it was her first date. He's
not going to bed early.
No. Bella tried to think of a way to make him let her go. This wasn't going to be pleasant. Edward pulled up slowly and all three of them were acutely alert. The engine cut off. Bella sat motionless as they continued to listen. Edward says, "He's not here. Let's go." Emmett reached over to help Bella get out of the harness, and in a low, cheerful voice, he says to not worry. They'll take care of things here quickly. Bella started to tear up looking at Emmett. She barely knew him, and yet she didn't know when they were going to see each other again after tonight, and that thought was very painful. This was also just a preview of the goodbyes that were going to come within the next hour. That thought caused the tears to spill over. Edward calls Alice and Emmett, and they slither soundlessly into the darkness and disappear. Edward opens Bella's door and takes her hand. He draws her in close and walks her swiftly to the house, warning her 15 minutes. Bella, sniffling from tearing up, says she can do this. She has the inspiration from her tears. Here, I wrote what I was thinking she was going to do. So you know what I was thinking? I thought that she was going to say, like, the date didn't go well and she needs her mom and not him and blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what she did. So Bella stops on the porch and holds his face in her hands and staring into his eyes, saying that she loves him and will always love him no matter what happens now. Edward reassures her that nothing will happen to her. Bella tells him to follow the plan, keep Charlie safe. He won't like her much after this, and she wants to have a chance to apologize to him later. Edward tries to rush Bella inside, but she says one more thing. Don't listen to another word she says tonight. He's gonna. Edward was leaning in, and Bella stretched up on her toes to kiss him. She turned and kicked the door open and yelled at Edward to go away. She ran inside, slammed the door shut in his shocked face. Charlie had already been hovering in the living room and called for Bella. Bella screamed at Charlie to leave her alone, and the tears were starting to flow. Bella ran up the stairs to her room. She flung the door shut and locked it. She ran to her bed and grabbed her duffel bag. She reached between the mattresses and the box spring and grabbed old socks containing her secret cash hoard. Is there a better place to hide things in your bedroom when you're a teenager? Probably not.
Probably not, but it's also the most obvious.
You know, that's where I put things, and they were definitely found.
Yeah, that's where I put my self-defense drumsticks.
Oh, well, that's a good spot for them.
Yeah.
Quick access.
Yeah. Clarification. Snare sticks. As in that you play the snare drum with?
Ow.
Yeah.
Those hurt.
Yeah, and I even added rubber bands to the handle so I could grip it better.
Nice.
I watched a lot of Criminal Minds as a kid. And I'm like, if someone comes in, I want to be able to just whop a chow.
Whack.
So, snare sticks. I was a percussionist. It was a good idea.
Yeah.
It left a really, really weird shaped indent in the mattress, though. Because the snare head is straight with a bit of a interesting shaped tip.
Uh-huh. They're pretty small, though, but yeah, I can see how that...
They're very small, but it was interesting. So then from that point on, because my mom made a comment, and she's like, what is under your bed? Why was she looking? Who knows? Anyway.
Because that's where teenagers hide things.
Good point. So then I decided to leave it, so I had about 6 inches of the snare drum handle sticking out from my bed, anywhere between 4 to 6. So it's more obvious of like, nope, it's my self-defense thing.
Nothing else.
Nothing else.
Okay, so getting back to this craziness. Charlie was pounding on Bella's door now. He was frightened, asking if she's okay and what was going on. Voice cracking, Bella yelled, bellow, did I say bellow?
She bellowed.
Voice cracking, Bella yelled she's going home. Charlie's voice changed to anger, and he asked if Edward hurt her. Bella yells no as she shoves random clothes in her bag. Charlie continues to shout and pound on the door. What happened? Bella shouts back that she broke up with him. Bella tried to zip up the bag, but Edward's hands pushed hers away and zipped it smoothly. He put the strap over her arm and then whispers to her that he'll be in the truck and pushes her toward the door. He vanished out the window. Bella unlocks the door and pushes past Charlie roughly and struggled with her heavy bag as she ran down the stairs. Charlie is right behind her, yelling and asking what happened. He thought she liked him. Charlie caught her elbow when she was in the kitchen. He was bewildered, but his grip was firm. Charlie spun her around to look at him, and Bella could see that he had no intention of letting her leave.
As any good parent would.
Exactly. Especially, it's also night.
It's night.
And you're 17.
17. And he's your dad.
Yeah. The only thing she could think of escaping involved hurting him, and she hated herself for considering it. He is a cop. He can kick your butt. You're not going to hurt him. He can hurt you.
I don't think
Physically.
it's physical hurt that she was thinking. It was emotional hurt.
Oh, I read that wrong. But yeah.
No, because she
pulls
out.
Emotional hurt gets bad.
Yeah, because that's what she pulls out to him.
Oh.
She knows it's the only way it's going to let him go is to reopen a deep, deep, deep emotional scar for him.
Well, my first thoughts go to violence. So
weird. That's usually me. Welcome. It's a fun club, isn't it?
Oh no. But Bella didn't have time, and she needed to keep him safe. Bella had fresh tears in her eyes as she thought about what she was about to do. She looked up at her father. This is the first time in this entire book that Bella refers to Charlie as her father.
It's an emotional moment, yeah.
Just wanted to point that out. And said, quote, I do like him, that's the problem. I can't do this anymore. I can't put down any more roots here. I don't want to end up trapped in this stupid, boring town like Mom. I'm not going to make the same dumb mistakes that she did. I hate it. I can't stay here another minute. Charlie's hands dropped like he was electrocuted. Bella turned away from him and headed for the door. Charlie whispers behind her, saying, "Bells, you can't leave now. It's nighttime." Bella didn't turn around, only said, "I'll sleep in the truck if I get tired." Charlie pleads to her to stay for just 1 week. Renee will be back then. Apparently, Renee called while Bella was out, saying that things weren't going well in Florida, and if Phil doesn't get signed by the end of the week, they'll be back in Arizona, as he might have a spot there. Bella shakes her head in confusion, but she is putting Charlie in danger by staying. Bella mutters that she has a key and turns the knob. Charlie was too close to her and was reaching for her. Bella couldn't risk putting him in more danger, so she would have to hurt him further by saying what Renee did all those years ago and put as much anger into it as she could. "Just let me go, Charlie." Finally, she threw the door open and yelled, "It didn't work out, okay? I really, really hate forks." Charlie stayed frozen at the door, stunned, while Bella ran into the night. She ran for the truck. Edward was in it already and waiting for her. She tossed her bag in the back and started the ignition and called out that she will call him tomorrow. Bella left, and Edward reached for her hand once out of Charlie's sight and told Bella to pull over. Through tears streaming, Bella says she can drive. Edward grips her waist and uses his foot to push hers off the gas. He pulled her across his lap and freed her hands from the wheel. The truck didn't swerve at all. He explains that she wouldn't be able to find the house. Lights were on behind them, and Bella stared in horror. Edward assures her that it's Alice. Bella asks about the tracker, and Edward tells her that he heard the end of her performance, but he is following them. Charlie should be okay. Bella asks if they can outrun him. Edward says no and tries to speed up, but the engine is whining in protest. Poor truck can't handle that.
Yeah, you can't push that to 120 like your souped-up Jeep.
Not quite.
Emmett's souped-up Jeep.
Yeah. Suddenly, a dark shadow sprang up outside the window. Edward clamped his hands on Bella's mouth as she let out a scream and told her it was Emmett.
You didn't give her a heads up at all, Eddie boy? Like,
would have been nice.
She's
but
on
I guess
edge.
There is a lot going on right now in her in his defense.
Yes.
Wow, times have turned. In Edward's defense.
Jess defended him. Whoo!
What is happening to me?
We gotta buy a lottery ticket.
Oh no.
We gotta buy. What's today's date? We'll put that as our lottery numbers.
I want to make this very, very clear to all of you. I don't like Edward.
You're just reminding yourself, like, all right, I'm with him in this chapter right now, but...
Ooh, well, that was weird. He released her and put his arms around her waist, telling her it was okay. Then, trying to distract her, he says he didn't realize that she was still so bored with the small town life.
Arms around her waist? Which one's driving?
None. He's using his knee.
I've seen... Nope, I don't like that. I've seen people do it. Ain't me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, puts his arm around her waist. I'm sorry. I think I said arms, plural. Arm as in one. So, because the truck is a bench, and so it scoop her up.
Bench seats.
Those were nice. So, Edward continues. He thought she was adjusting well. Bella confessed she wasn't being nice. That's what her mom said when she left too. Edward gave a little smile and said to not worry, he'll forgive her. Bella looked at him, panicked, and stared at him. Edward reassures her that it'll be okay. She responds, it won't be when they're apart. Edward tells her they will be in a few days, and after all, this was her plan. Bella asks why her? Why did James pick her and the other two were completely fine? Edward says he looked into his mind and it was partially her being appealing, but when Edward defended her, it made things much, much worse. He thinks of himself as a hunter and loves nothing more than a challenge, and they presented him one. They made the most exciting game ever for him. But if Edward had just stood by, he would have killed her right then and there. She doesn't smell the way that she does to Edward, but she is still a temptation to every one of them. If she had appealed to any one of them the way that she does to Edward, there would have been a fight immediately. Edward doesn't really have any other choice but to kill him now. Carlisle won't like this. Bella asks, how do you kill a vampire? Finally, I've been wanting to know this whole book. And also, how do you become a vampire? Because, again, I just have knowledge of Vampire Diaries. And it's very different. So Edward says the only way to be sure is to tear them to shreds, then burn the pieces. My thing with this, the way they worded it, and I'm trying to catch every little foreshadowing thing possible because I don't want to miss stuff. Did they miss a piece? I'm assuming they rip him to shreds. Do they miss a piece and he comes back? No. Okay.
No, but... No?
Are we foreshadowing other things, though?
Will things come back to bite them in the ass? Pun intended? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, the woman will fight with James, but Edward isn't sure of... Oh gosh, how do you say his name again? Laurent. I couldn't remember. We took a break. They don't have as strong of a bond and only seems to be with them for convenience. He was embarrassed by James in the meadow. Edward tells Bella to not waste her time worrying on him. She just needs to be concerned about keeping herself safe and to not be reckless. James is still following but won't attack the house. Not tonight, at least. They drove up to the house, lights on. Emmett had the door open before the truck even stopped. He pulled her out of the seat, tucked her into his chest like a football, and ran her through the door. They entered the large white room, and everyone was there. Edward announced that James was tracking them and was glaring at Laurent. Laurent was unhappy and said that he was afraid of that. Edward set him off when he defended Bella, and nothing can stop him once he's started.
Laurent's saying this about James.
Yeah.
So he's backing what Edward saw in James's brain, where Laurent's like, yeah, no, I was worried this was going to happen. Once you made this a challenge for James,
it was game over.
He will not let go.
Yeah, he won't stand down.
Yeah.
They aren't enough to bring him down. He hasn't seen anything like him in his 300 years. He's very lethal, and that's why Laurent joined James's coven. So this is where we learn that Laurent is not the leader, which is what everyone assumed.
Yeah, he was just the PR.
Mm-hmm. So Laurent then shakes his head, glances at Bella, and asks Carlisle if it's worth it.
A valid question from Laurent's perspective.
It is. It is. Sorry, Bella. It is. But also, Bella sees that too, though. In a little bit, we see that Bella sees that. Edward let out an enraged roar, and Laurent cringed. Carlisle told Laurent he is going to have to make a choice. Laurent is very intrigued with their way of life, but won't get in the middle of this. He doesn't want to be their enemy, but also will not go against James. He apologizes, and Carlisle tells him to go in peace. After Laurent leaves, Carlisle asks Edward how close James is, as an Esme activates the metal shutters to seal up the glass wall. Edward updates him and then tells him the plan. They'll lead him off, and Jasper and Alice will take Bella south. Once she's in the clear, they'll hunt him. Carlisle agrees that there's no other choice. Edward asks Rosalie to bring Bella upstairs and trade clothes. Rosalie is in disbelief and objects with venom in her voice. Edward only calmly then asks Esme. Esme carries Bella upstairs, and they trade clothes quickly. This won't fool him for long, but might be long enough to get her out. When she came back downstairs, everything was planned out. Edward and Emmett were ready to leave. Emmett was carrying a heavy-looking backpack over his shoulder, and Carlisle handed a cell phone to Esme and Alice. Cell phones are finally mentioned now. They're
flip
go.
Phones, but yes.
Well, yes. Very old flip phones. Esme and Rosalie will be taking Bella's truck, and Alice and Jasper will be going in the Mercedes since they'll need the dark tint down south. And Carlisle will be going with Edward, and they'll be taking the Jeep. Carlisle asks Alice if they'll take the bait. She closes her eyes, and when she opens, says he'll track them, and the woman will follow the truck. They should be able to leave after that.
So just clarifying, Alice says the woman's going to follow Bella's truck. Victoria's going to follow the truck.
Correct.
James is going to follow Edward, who's going to be going on a decoy.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yep. They keep referring to Victoria as the woman or the girl. They can't, no one says her name ever.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Or the female. They keep saying the female. Carlisle starts for the kitchen. Edward moved over to Bella and embraced her. He pulled her face to his and lifted her feet off the floor. Which I'm just picturing him grabbing her face and lifting her. I'm like, you trying to kill her? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, what are we doing here?
It's supposed to be romantic, Connie. He kissed her and then set her back down. He was still holding her face, and suddenly his eyes were blank, dead, and he turned away and they were gone.
Don't remember that part.
Mm-hmm. He just it was all... I was picturing, like in the Vampire Diaries, when they shut off their humanity.
I think that's a version of it, because I believe that's when he switches over to full, hunting mode. I'll have to reread Midnight Sun.
It's like the Vampire Diaries, guys. But not really, because it's not a switch. They all stood there, everyone keeping their eyes away from Bella as she cried silently and waited. Esme's phone went off, and her and Rosalie left. The three of them waited until Alice's phone went off. Alice says that Edward says the woman is on Esme's trail. She will get the car. Jasper and Bella looked at each other. They were across the length of the room. He was being careful. Jasper quietly tells Bella that she's wrong. He can feel what she's feeling now. She is worth it. Bella mumbles she's not. If anything happens to them, it's for nothing. Jasper smiles kindly and says she's wrong. Alice comes through the front door and comes towards Bella with her arms held out. She asks, "May I?"
I love that she's the only one that asks.
Bella gives her a weary smile and says she's the first to ask for permission. Quote, "She lifted me in her slender arms as easily as Emmett had, shielding me protectively, and then we flew out the door, leaving the lights bright behind us." End quote and end of chapter 19. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. No, it's all good. So I think this part isn't in there. I think it's only in Midnight Sun. So
it happened somewhere in that mix.
Yes. So what I appreciate is that as Edward and Emmett set off, what they did is they created decoy where they got a roughly Bella-sized duffel bag, and then they
I was wondering if that's why he was carrying, she was so descriptive about the bag that Emmett was carrying. I was like, is that supposed to be a decoy of her?
Yes. So it's supposed to be like making it look just like they're doing the Ruse as Phoenix. They're making it look like Bella's in the bag and being taken with Edward, and they're trying to hide her. And what's so sweet is I think it's at that part, or it was actually in the car. I'll have to reread, but I think it may have been in the car. No, it was when Emmett was getting, sorry, it was when Emmett was getting Bella in the football hold and taking her in, where Edward was scanning Emmett's thoughts and he went like full bodyguard, where he was just like, all right, I'm protecting Bella now. And his only thought was protect, protect, protect. And was just like, we got it. And at one point, I think it's here, he's with Bella. And in his head, he goes, I don't know what Rosalie's problem is, but she's going to have to get over it because this is a good kid. I'm just like,
yes, Emmett.
But just like how sweet, how full bodyguard, because Edward was surprised. He's like, I was surprised how quickly Emmett fell into that bodyguard role and how serious he took it for protecting Bella.
So sweet. I love Emmett. And then Jasper, when I read this for the first time, I actually took a I took a picture of the paragraph and sent it to Connie. I was like, Jasper, where did that come from? That was so sweet.
Jasper he is a more complex character than you get to find out about in Twilight.
Twilight? You mean New Moon? Or
no, in Twilight. In this
in
book,
the end?
Yep, you find out some, but you get more of his story and more of his complexities in Eclipse.
In 3?
Yep, the third book.
Yeah, so that I kind of figured, because he's still standoffish for safety reasons, like still standoffish. So I'm like just waiting to hear more.
There is something that happens with Jasper in New Moon.
I kind of figured that. I'm trying to catch the foreshadowing stuff, and every time Jasper is around, there's always like, he's always keeping his distance. He's always like holding back. Yeah. So I was like, is that foreshadowing of something further?
Yeah, because I think Jasper's actually, I think earlier in the, well, and here's another contradiction from Stephanie, where she had said that Emmett was newest to the family, but actually Jasper and Alice were the last additions to the family, and Jasper's the newest vegetarian. He was the last one to convert.
Okay. Because I thought, so recently, in the recent chapter, she said something about Emmett being the most recent. But then in the beginning, wasn't she saying that Alice and Jasper were the last? So that's where you're talking the contradicting happens.
There's a contradicting, yep. Because I'll actually just tell you the little side story, because I don't think you get it in Twilight. I think this is one that was written as a screenplay and then done by an independent little film group. Basically, Alice seeks out Jasper.
So, yeah, we see that because she has a vision of him looking and whatever. Yeah.
Yep. So she finds him, and the version that I saw of them getting together on just like a YouTube little film was they're at a diner, and it's in like the 50s, 60s. It's not super far away from the storyline. And Alice is just like, hi, you don't know me yet, but we're going to be very good friends. Also, we should get going soon. We have to go meet our family. I haven't met them yet, but they're going to love us and we're going to love them.
I mean, that's kind of what it sounded like from the beginning part. I could 100% see that happening, because that's when Edward was explaining like where all of them came from when he came to them. That basically was the gist of it.
But it is so cute and sweet, because at least in the skit that I saw, they're in the diner and Jasper has a cup of coffee and Alice orders a cup of coffee, and then she pours an ungodly amount of sugar in it. She goes, it makes me feel human. And so they're just having the conversation, and he goes, okay, well, what next? And you see the waitress drops a coffee cup, shatters, and cuts her hand, and then Jasper lunges at her. But then you flash back, and it's a vision that Alice just had. And so she goes, well, we're both about to become vegetarians. And she kisses him and distracts him while all that happens. And he's so stunned and memorized by her that he doesn't go for the blood.
I love that.
It's actually really sweet.
I love that. Oh, gosh.
So they're super cute together.
I really like Alice at this point. I really, really like Emmett. And we are getting into plot now. So we're actually getting the whole build up. This is what the whole book should have been. But it's fine. It's fine. But our next chapter is going to be impatience. And I think we might be doing chapter 20 and 21 together. So,
because this is as far as you've read, right?
yep. I've read like one page into chapter 20 and that's it. So yeah, I don't know what's happening. I believe from here on out we might be doing 2 chapters per episode until we're done.
And there's only 24 chapters.
And then the epilogue.
And the epilogue. So not too many episodes left, you guys. Only about 3, I think.
Yeah, 2021, 22, 23,
24 and epilogue.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, either 2 or 3, depending on how they line out.
Yeah, only 3 episodes left, so make sure that you are subscribed so you guys get notified when we post those videos. You can find us on all of our social media. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok, all at Chaos Chronicles Podcast, and that's Chronicles with an S.
Yes. And also, if you are only here for the Twilight, you're not here for the true crime that we do on Wednesdays. We do have a playlist that Jess created on our YouTube channel where it is just the Twilight episodes. So if you're here for the fluffy and the
not gory,
well, the
psychotic,
fake gory, the fiction gory,
then
that's where you can go. If you want to hear some true stories, then check out our Wednesday episodes.
Yeah,
can't promise they're light and happy.
Most of them are not.
They are not.
Sorry. Or not sorry. You're welcome?
You're welcome.
You're welcome or sorry?
What can I say except you're welcome?
All
Disney,
right.
don't sue us.
On that note, we will see you either on Wednesday or next week for the next 2 chapters.
Adios, y'all.
Bye.
We're getting to the fun stuff. Woo!
I know, but why does it have to be the last 5 chapters are good?
Add it to the list of things we got to ask Stephanie. I got to ask about her repressed sexual stuff because, they're stunning with breath, eating a tear. I have questions.
Concerns.
Concerns, questions, interchangeable there.
Yeah. And that's a wrap.